As we anticipate the upcoming release of Hazbin Hotel, Vivziepop has started to share some of her redesigns of the characters we saw in the pilot. The most radical redesign so far has been Velvette's, and it's had mixed reactions from fans, with some people saying they like it, and others expressing their disappointment that the crew appears to be going in a different direction with her character. All of the opinions about her design, both the original and the new one, are perfectly valid, but as someone who didn't really care about Velvette in the pilot and had no opinion of her whatsoever, I personally think the redesign is a major improvement on the one in the pilot, and not just for aesthetic reasons. So in this video, I'd like to give my educated opinion on why I personally think Velvette's redesign is good, actually. Keep in mind that as of the writing of this script, Hazbin Hotel still hasn't been released, so a lot of what I'm going to say here in terms of lore is speculation. Before we get into the actual analysis of Velvette's design, I do want to talk a little bit about her place in the story and the lore behind her, because I do think that it's relevant here. The three V's are the villains of Hazbin Hotel. They are overlords of hell like Alastor. Unlike demon royalty, such as Asmodeus or Stolas, overlords like Alastor and the V's are not natural-born citizens of hell. They are Earth-born sinners that ended up in hell due to their actions on Earth. Based on what we know so far, we can assume that the V's and Alastor were able to rise to power partially because of their proficiency in their respective professions of their time, with Alastor being radio, Vox, television, Valentino, adult content, and Velvette, social media. So with that knowledge, we can analyze Velvette's design, knowing that she has a place in this collective of overlords. Velvette is an overlord of social media, and most fans estimate she passed away sometime between 2013 and 2015, around the time when influencer culture was becoming mainstream. Therefore, we can assume she was possibly a prominent influencer social media person during her life, and like Valentino, she was able to use her expertise as a social media influencer to attain her status as an overlord. So let's compare Velvette's original design with her new one. In the pilot, Velvette wears a full-skirted, kind of gothic Lolita-looking dress in a black, white, and red scheme, with a red petticoat underneath to enhance the fullness of the skirt. It's not exactly clear to me if this is a strapless dress with a sweetheart neckline layered over a black blouse, or if the dress is a one-piece, but I think it's a one-piece. Either way, it features puff sleeves with slashes to reveal red underneath, with red trim and a white ruffled collar at the neck. She also wears shoulder-length fingerless gloves, black tights, and red flats accented with white pom-poms. Her hair is two-toned, puffy, and a bit messy, tied up in two pigtails with contrasting black and white scrunchies on each side. In general, this look gives her a very childlike, playful energy with a little hint of a party girl vibe, in my opinion. I personally think this outfit feels a little dated. This tricolor scheme was really popular in like the early 2000s mall goth and EGL subcultures. In general, her aesthetic, for me, it's giving MySpace. It's giving EGL LiveJournal community. I just don't think this design looks like somebody who would be an influencer in the mid-2010s. And I don't feel like LiveJournal and MySpace are really what we think of when we hear the term social media, right? Those sites were really more like proto-social media sites rather than what we currently think of as social media. So while I don't think this design is bad, I'm not sure it's the best outfit for an overlord of social media to wear. In the new promotional artwork, Velvette's design is much more mature and streamlined. Her hair is still two-toned, but there's more contrast between the colors, and the messy hair has been smoothed out for a more sleek, polished, and put-together look. Although her tights and shoes are pretty much the same, instead of the EGL-style outfit, she now has a three-piece ensemble. I think it's worth pointing out that this color palette, although similar to the one in the pilot, is a departure from the tricolor scheme that I felt was a little dated, with the vest bringing in that bluish off-black shade. I do think this is a good change, and it adds some depth to her design. Velvette's expressions are now much more confident and overtly sinister. Overall, I think the fitted skirt makes this outfit feel more businesslike and professional than the other silhouette, but with the contrast of the crop top and the placement of the hearts on it kind of adds this risque sexiness to it. I do think this style looks less dated and much more contemporary than the one in the pilot. The redesign is way more fashion forward and much more appropriate, in my opinion, for the social media era that Velvette possibly represents. This design just feels way more believable to me. Okay, wait, I came up with a really good visual representation of what I'm trying to say. Old Velvette makes me think of old Hot Topic, and new Velvette is more like new Hot Topic. And as much as we might long for the old one, it makes more sense for her to be from the new one. But, as I already said, aesthetics are not the only reason I prefer the new design. It's also because of narrative and story reasons. In the pilot, Velvette has a sort of cute but evil energy and looks very young. The impression that a lot of people got from watching the pilot is that Velvette has a kind of familial dynamic with Vox and Valentino, where she's kind of their daughter and they are kind of like her parent figures. I just want to clarify that this idea that Velvette is a daughter figure is completely a fan theory. I've never seen Vivziepop say that she intended for Velvette to be Vox and Valentino's daughter. It's just the way some fans interpreted her appearance in the pilot. But a lot of people are acting like this was a canon thing in the pilot, and they're like disappointed that it was changed. So I am going to shit on this fan theory a little bit because I hate it. So here we go. As most people can observe, the new Velvette looks older, with some people speculating that she's in her 30s or even 40s, but we don't actually know that. In this more mature design, she looks more overtly evil and gives these kind of Harley Quinn post-Joker vibes. Okay, so hear me out. Here is why I kind of take issue with the pilot incarnation of Velvette, starting off with the character personality type. A lot of people have said to me that they prefer the old Velvette because they like the cute but evil character concept. The deception of a character that looks cute but acts evil is a very compelling trope for some people. The thing is, we already have a cute but psycho character in the cast, and it's Nifty. Granted, we didn't get to see a lot of that energy in the pilot because she's only on screen for like 2 seconds. But based on the previews that we've seen, that does seem to be what they're going for with Nifty's character. And I cannot stress this enough. We do not need 2 cute little psychos in one show. I think one is more than enough. Moving on. If Vox and Valentino are supposed to be her parents, I feel like that implies that they kind of had some influence on her rise to power. To me, it makes no sense whatsoever for the overlord of social media to be some little kid daughter figure. I don't like it because it creates a power dynamic where Vox and Valentino are the ones with more power and Velvette is the one with less power because she's the child in the relationship. I just feel like it takes away from Velvette's agency as a character to make her a dependent of the other 2 overlords. So look, I'm not saying it's problematic for the only female overlord in the trio of villains to have significantly less power than the male ones, but I am saying Helluva Boss in particular has received a lot of criticism for how it's treated its female characters. I think people are hoping that the female characters in Hazbin will be written a little bit better. To be clear, I do think Helluva Boss is getting a little bit better at this. I feel like Luna has gotten some development recently. I would really like to see Millie get more attention than what she's gotten, which is like Nothing. If we're going to have a female overlord, I want her to be as powerful as the male ones, not be some little kid daughter figure that they take care of. I want to see her having as much power as the other overlords that she's working with. And I just don't feel that the design she has in the pilot embodies that idea. So now obviously the show hasn't come out yet. We'll have to see how they handle the dynamic between the three of them and if they do a good job writing Velvette's character. But I feel like just looking at the promotional image they released, you immediately get the sense that Velvette is equal to the other two overlords, that she has as much power as they do. I have rewatched the Hazbin Hotel pilot probably 4 or 5 times at this point. And honestly, all of those times that I watched, I never even really noticed Velvette's character. Vox and Valentino definitely got my attention. When you look at them, they just really pop out at you, and you get a clear sense of their identity from how they look. For me personally, Velvette's original design did not do that. I just found her forgettable in the pilot. When I heard people online talking about the 3Vs, I literally had to look up who Velvette was because I didn't know who people were talking about. But when I saw this artwork, my eyes were drawn to Velvette immediately. And for the first time, I actually started to feel excited about these characters. And I started to look forward to the release of Hazbin Hotel much more. In my opinion, the new design just makes more sense. I think it makes more sense from a story point of view, and I think it makes more sense aesthetically. And I really hope that people who preferred the original version of her in the pilot will at least open their mind to the idea that this design is not just an improvement on the original, but a more complete expression of Velvette's character as an overlord. I hope everybody enjoyed that little mini style analysis. Please let me know what your thoughts are. What do you think they'll do with Velvette's character? Do you think that they will take this direction or a different direction? I'm very curious to see what people have to say about it. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. And also I stream on Twitch sometimes. So please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Aw, you guys are so sweet.